Hello, my friend, and thank you for joining me. This is the Lathan Minich Show. I am your host, Lathan M.S. Minich. This is episode 5 entitled Hang in There, Lathan, because apparently that's what I need to be telling myself right now. In this episode, I'm going to talk about I went to Japan, which was a lot of fun, and it was also very challenging. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about my podcast and my content and how I continue to have difficulty maintaining any kind of consistency with my creative output. There's also been some big revelations, other things that I don't think I'm going to get to in this episode. But my point is that it's been so long since I recorded an episode that like something will happen in my life and I want to talk about it. And then something else will happen in my life and I want to talk about it. But I've waited so long to record this episode that it's like that stuff seems old and not as fresh in my mind and not as significant, even though some of the things that happen are, in fact, very significant. Before I get further into the episode, let me start with the routine stuff. If you are watching me on YouTube, welcome. The video... I'm not cutting that. The video version of this podcast can be found on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@LathanMinich. For the traditional audio-only crowd, the Lathan Minich Show is available on all the top podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Pocket Cast. I don't know. There's a bunch of podcatchers out there. And whatever one that you use, the Lathan Minich Show should be available on it. I am at Lathan Minich on Instagram and Twitter, currently known as X. People call it Twitter X. People call it X, formerly Twitter. I don't know. I don't know if I see a world where people are like, "Oh, it's X," and like that's like the thing, and everybody knows it as such. But anyway, I'm rambling about that. My Facebook page is facebook.com/Lathan Minich. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm not that active on social media, but of course, the more active I get with my content and the more I want to promote it and the more I want to interact with people, that's something I'm going to have to do. But of course, I haven't been producing content, so I haven't had a reason to be active on social media. But if you want to send me a direct email, you can send it to lathanminich@gmail.com. Okay, so Japan. I went to Japan in like literally the 1st of April. Well, I left here the 1st of April. I arrived there the 2nd. It was spring. It was sakura to zakura season. I mean, this should have been like perfectly obvious to me going there. But the crowds were just overwhelming. And I am a person who struggles pretty heartily with social anxiety and crowded spaces. I just kind of jumped. To make an analogy, I just jumped in the cold water. I didn't even think about it. I just said, I'm going to Japan. Never been there. I've never traveled internationally before. This is the first time I've traveled internationally. I've barely gone anywhere in my life, and that's something that I am changing, which was kind of the point. Less planning, more doing. Of course, it'll be revealed probably soon that maybe a little planning would have been in order. But yeah, thousands of people. My first experience of Japan was arriving at Haneda Airport and coming to the immigration. And, I have videos and stuff. Literally thousands of people trying to get into immigration, trying to get into Japan. And, I should have, at the time, I didn't even think about it. I was thinking, okay, this is crazy. This is just the airport. But, that turned out to be like that established the theme of the crowds I would deal with in Japan. And the thing is, in hindsight, I mean, yeah, I should have thought, Tokyo. obviously Tokyo is this huge metropolitan city, and there's I don't know how many thousands of people. I want to say someone said there's like 130 million people in Japan. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you think about the size of Japan versus the size of the U.S., and the U.S. is like, about twice, maybe 3 times as much as that. It's kind of crazy how many people they fit in that country and how efficient they are with it. But anyway, my point is, obviously Japanese crowds are to be expected. What I didn't expect, and again, I didn't even think about it beforehand, but the tourists. It's April, it's spring, it's freaking sakura season. So most of the, I guess, uncomfortable situations I had as far as like crowds and anxiety, for some reason, it was all the tourists. And I'm complaining about tourists, and, I'm a tourist. So, yeah. The pot is calling the kettle black or something like that. I'm being a hypocrite. But anyway, so yeah, I went to Tokyo. I stayed at Sengakuji, Shinagawa. I stayed in Osaka, Namba, Osaka. I stayed in Hiroshima. One thing that aside, I'm going to talk about positives and negatives. Maybe because I am depressed, like clinically depressed, and I kind of struggle with my pessimism. But then I look back at that trip, and like I can only think, not only, but I mostly think of the negatives. When I look at pictures, like I have all these pictures and videos that I took, and I look at them like, wow, I was in Japan. Look at that. That's amazing. Otherwise, I guess just my negativity takes over. But yeah, no, like I was saying, I did like not the nationwide tour, but I went from Tokyo to Osaka to Hiroshima. So, if you don't know, that's like literally the bottom half of the country, not counting, whatever islands, and everything else south of, the mainland. I'm not sure what they would call it. I took the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train. So, like, the bullet train, which I have videos of that too, which just goes insanely fast. Tokyo to Osaka, it was like, I forget, it was like a couple hours. And then Osaka to Hiroshima was not as long. But anyway, what did I do there? I walked around. I think that's another thing, like I said, poor planning, is that I didn't have a plan. I had like, I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see this. I didn't really plan out when I was going to do that, how I was going to do that. I would just get up one day and like, okay, I'm going to go see the Unicorn Gundam. Because to me, that's like a cool Japanese thing that, obviously I'm not going to see in Hawaii. Maybe they have something like that somewhere in the mainland, but the idea of like standing in front of like a life-size Gundam was just an awesome idea for me. And so I went and saw it, but at the same time, aside from the crowds, the weather was just like, I grew up in Hawaii. I live in Hawaii. When I got there, it was 50 degrees, like in the middle of the day. And it was just gray and rainy, not like pouring rain, but just like all like off and on drizzling and gray and just very unpleasant. Not the whole time I was there, but that's how my trip started, and it kind of set the tone of like my mood, I guess, while I was over there. But I remember that day when I went to go see the Unicorn Gundam, and first of all, I'm trying to find my way through the trains, which, if you've ever been to Tokyo or Japan in general, I imagine this is what it's like in some bigger cities in the U.S., in the mainland. But the trains can be very confusing because you got to take a train from one station to another, and then you got to get a transfer. So you got to find out which platform or whatever to take that train. So that was kind of difficult. So yeah, I feel like I'm just kind of pardon the term. I feel like I'm just kind of shitting on my Japan trip. But looking back, I did enjoy it. I went to, like I said, I saw the Unicorn Gundam. I took a day trip on a bus where we went to the Imperial Palace, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Again, like we were one bus, and then there were other buses, and they're just all these tourists and like thousands of people. And I'm thinking to myself, can't all these tourists go home so I can have this country to myself? Which obviously, again, makes me a huge hypocrite. And I went to Tokyo Tower. I remember I went to Tokyo Tower. It was like, I don't know, it was like, I forget. I think I could have walked there, but no, I took a train. I remember I could see it from my hotel room. I could see it out the window. Which was a good motivator. Like, oh, there's that thing. I want to go see that. But I remember when I went there, it was like a couple days after the trip, into the trip. And I remember it was actually kind of a nice day. I forget. I don't know what the temperature was. I've never thought in my life I would be so happy to see 60 degrees or 65. But I think it was around there. I think it might have been 65. And it was a nice day, and I went to Tokyo Tower and got my palm read by an old Japanese woman who didn't speak English, but she had a little translator, and she told me some things about my life that may or may not come to pass. But yeah, so I mean, I guess that's it for Tokyo. I went to Osaka. In hindsight, okay, so I did this, I was so ambitious, and I did like this, like I call it, nationwide, quote unquote, tour. In hindsight, not hindsight, but if I were to go again, and I just wanted to chill and have a good time, I would go to Osaka. I really enjoyed Osaka. I enjoyed my hotel room the most in Osaka. I stayed at the Apple Hotel, which if you ever go to Japan, Apple hotels are like everywhere. They're like the McDonald's of hotels over there. But they're the rooms are super small. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you pay more for a double room or whatever, and you get a bigger room. But as far as like the base, like single room, it's literally like, you walk into the room and the bed and the TV are basically most of the room, and there's like a little bathroom. But you know what? It worked. It worked just fine. And yeah, so Osaka was a lot of fun. There was Namba. I don't know if you've ever heard of Namba, but it's like this whole I don't know, like this whole shopping area. Everything is like indoors, not indoors, but you walk in and it's kind of like a tunnel, and you're just surrounded by shops and things. I went to Shinsekai. I think I'm saying that right. Again, just like it's like being at a carnival. There's like all these attractions and stuff. I shot arrows. And then I saw, I want to say Toshiba. Like the Toshiba Tower. I hope I'm getting that right. I know it's one of those Japanese brands. I think it was Toshiba. So that was a lot of fun. And then I took a trip to Nara Park. So Nara Park, Nara Koen. 私は奈良公園は行きます. Probably butchered that just now, but Nara Park is known for the deer, and that was a big trip because like there's just deer, like hundreds. probably thousands. Again, crowds of deers. And the thing that was so interesting about the deer was like they're just so apparently they've been there, I don't know, for centuries probably. But I guess they're so used to like visitors and tourists and stuff. They're just hanging out. They're literally sitting there while, people are like going by the deer and doing like a freaking selfie. I just made a funny face and a peace sign on the video for those not watching. And they were just so calm and docile. One thing though, you can feed them. Like there's this senbei, which is like Japanese for like biscuit or cracker or something, I think. You can buy these senbei and you can feed it to them. But once you feed it to them, they start following you around. And once you okay, I don't have any more senbei, they keep they'll start sniffing around you, and they might even bite you. I got to the point where I realized when they were about to bite, so I just kind of leaned out of the way. But there was he's probably American. There's this old white dude that I think the deer bit him and he punched it in the face, which obviously is not cool at all. And at the same time was one of the funniest things I saw when I was over there. So I went to that was Nara Park. So Nara is I don't know, it's closer to Osaka. It was I forget what it was. It was like maybe a 45-minute train ride from Osaka. And then I went down to Hiroshima. And well, I mean, for me personally, I don't know. If you ask most Americans what they know about Hiroshima, I mean, it's obviously known as the place that we, America, dropped an atomic bomb on in World War II. And I mean, that's why I went. I wanted to see the World War II memorials. I wanted to get an idea I just wanted to see the area. I mean, it's a bustling city now. Like whatever happened, and they've rebuilt, and obviously it's been decades later. But a less depressing part of the Hiroshima trip. So I took a one day tour. Again, if you go over there, when I went, I was like, I don't want to take a tour. I want to go around on my own and blah 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 blah, which is fun to a point. But I would recommend taking a tour just of specific, themes or specific areas, what have you. But yeah, I basically took the Hiroshima tour, which was Miyajima Island, the Itsukushima Shrine. So I don't know if you know the Itsukushima Shrine, but it's basically, I don't know if you know what a torii gate is, but if you look like a Japanese shrine temple, I literally have one right next door. But it's the two pillars and there's an arch on top. That's a torii gate, which, again, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the torii gate is supposed to symbolize crossing over from the normal world into something sacred. But the Itsukushima Shrine has the floating torii gate, floating. Even my tour guide, who is Mexican, by the way, but that's a whole nother thing. Floating torii gate, but it's basically that the torii gate is built in the shallow water. I mean, it's the shallow water. When it's low tide, it's totally, what's the opposite of submerged? It's totally out of the water. And then as the tide rises, it's literally that's why they call it the floating torii gate. Floating. I had fun there too, but also, again, just the crowds, it's overwhelming for me. And I kept telling myself when I got back, what were you expecting? I mean, that's, going back, I would expect that, and I don't know. I mean, it probably make it a little easier to deal with because I'm prepared for it. But just the crowds, and again, not Japanese people. I see like tourists from America. I see tourists from God knows all over the world. And I guess what bothers me, I mean, obviously my own issues, social anxiety and whatnot. But what bothers me is when I see tourists kind of, they're just enjoying themselves, but they don't seem to be showing any kind of respect, any kind of reverence for, the local culture, for the local people. Um, and I guess I'm projecting my own insecurity about do I belong here or not. But yeah, I went to Miyajima Island. I went to their aquarium where I saw a seal like grab some hoops out of the air, but that's not important. I went to so the last end of this trip, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, the first half of the trip was Miyajima Island. All the fun, like well, not fun. It is a shrine. It is a temple. But then there's just a whole bunch of shopping, and it's geared for visitors to make money. But that was the fun part of the trip. The second half of the trip was the World War II memorials. There's the Atomic Dome. There's the what do they call it? The Hypo Center, basically where there's a plaque where it was the the epicenter of where they dropped the bomb. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because it's, you can imagine. But there's a museum where, they show in graphic detail. They show pictures of what that event did to some people. There's all kind of stories. There was like this big it's like a science fiction movie. It's like I don't know. It's like Iron Man, I guess, when he has like a big like holographic table and he's like doing things, but it was just like a big screen showing. It showed like Hiroshima before the bomb, and then there's this graphic of a bomb dropping from the sky, and then it just shows like just the desolation of what Hiroshima looked after the bomb. So I don't know. Call it what you want. Call it American curiosity, American guilt. But I mean it's something I wanted to see. And again, even in there, when I'm trying to, enjoy is not the right word, but when I'm trying to take it in and kind of express some reverence for what happened, and there's just tourists. There's just thousands of tourists, and it's like you can't even move around. It's just this massive crowd. And I guess people were respectful in that setting because it's kind of hard not to be. There are literally people crying. I felt myself getting emotional here and there. But again, I'm so worried about this massive crowd that I'm stuck in, so I'm kind of like too anxious and upset to get emotional. So that was Japan. Shigatsu ni Nippon ni ikimashita. So I guess another real quick thing. I don't know if you heard of Asakusa Temple. It's spelled Asakusa. So I don't know. I believe it's pronounced Asakusa because the A is silent. The second A is silent. Again, very beautiful temple. All this rich cultural stuff going on, but just thousands of people. And I'm just overwhelmed. Train stations. Shinagawa train station. Shinjuku Ekiwa. Tokyo Station, Yokohama Station, just thousands of people. But again, I think I was mostly bothered when I was surrounded by thousands of foreigners. And of course, I'm a foreigner too in that country. I mean, the Japanese in the train stations and stuff, I wouldn't say they're rude, but they're going where they're going. And, you can tell they're all going to work or going home, or they're about their business when they're, in these transit stations. And I just learned how to move, how to go with the flow. Walk on this side of the sidewalk. Walk on this side of wait on this side of the escalator. That's another thing. In some part, I think in Tokyo, I want to say people stood on the left side of the escalator. I think in America, we would stay on the right. And then when I went to Osaka, I think they were on the right side of the escalator. But that's a whole nother thing. So anyway, yeah, that was, yeah. Wow, I just kind of gushed through all of that. And so I guess to not summarize, but I guess to put a cap on the Japan trip, what did I learn? Instead of regretting, oh, I went there and this didn't work out the way I wanted it, and just regretting it, what did I learn? Well, I learned, again, the big thing that jumped out to me when I got back, I don't even know if I thought about it when I was over there, but the big thing that just jumped out at me is what were you expecting? And the thing is, I didn't have expectations. I mean, my only expectations this is going to be awesome. I don't even know if I expected it to be awesome. I just said, this is something that I need to experience, that I want to experience, that I need to experience. I need to get out of the country. I need to do something different. And that's kind of my life. Where I've been living such a sheltered and kind of, I'm not gonna shit on my life too much. I don't get out much, and that's the thing. So that was an opportunity for me to expand my horizons, and I did. I learned things. If I went back to Tokyo right now, I would still have a hard time, but I could find my way around on the trains. God help me. So yeah, expectations. I have social anxiety. I can't believe that it wasn't even a consideration before I went. I guess I was just so dead set on going. I didn't let any thoughts of how things might be difficult or what I might not like enter my thought process. And so ever since I got back, well, I guess ever since and before, well, I guess this is the part. I'm done with Japan. So if you just wanted to hear about Japan, you can click away, do whatever you want to do. Now I'm going to talk about my mental health. Well, I guess it's kind of related to Japan, but like I said, social anxiety, struggling with Japan. I guess one more thing about Japan is that I've been, I guess, diagnosed with plantar fasciitis, which is basically, I guess, flat feet, where the arch of your foot kind of goes flat and there's extreme pain. And that was something that I was dealing with over there, which I don't know if I really realized it at the time. I went to a podiatrist and he told me, well, just get these, well, he told me, go to this shop. And there's this store in Honolulu, local shoe store. I'm not going to say the name because I'm not digging on them. But it's a local, it's a local shoe store and they don't take returns. And anyway, so I paid more for these Hoka shoes. And apparently Hoka is a very popular brand. I see a lot of people wearing them. For the most part, yeah, they're the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn. They're not wide enough for me. But I was still suffering this pain in my arches. The only reason I bring that up, the shoes anyway, is that, okay, I have this problem. If I spend all this money on this expensive pair of shoes, it's going to fix the problem. Well, no, it didn't. I'm now I've got like special orthotic insoles and it's better. But anyway, the point to all that is that obviously, well, not obviously, if you're going to go to Tokyo, most places in Japan, I mean, in the cities, you're going to do a lot of walking. And I did a lot of walking, and my feet were hurting, and the weather was, ugly. I'll say it. The weather was ugly. And my mental health, my anxiety. So, I look back, I look at the pictures, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoy it when I think back about it, when I look at those pictures. But when I'm not looking at those pictures, it's like there's a negative kind of a negative coloring to all those memories. I'm looking at something on my desk right now, and I'm wondering if I should talk about it. I think I will. So I'm not going to say this is the reason I went to Japan. But I went to the, I believe it's the Kanamara Matsuri, which is basically, it's, I don't want to call it the Japanese Penis Festival, but that's what people call it, because that's like the easiest, English way to describe what it is. It takes place at the Kanayama Shrine in Kawasaki on the first Sunday of every April, I believe. And my reasons for going there, obviously, I don't know, some people say, oh, you went to the penis shrine, or the penis festival. What's that about? I wanted to see like how a foreign culture treats that kind of subject matter. And as far as the foreign culture, I mean, there was reverence. There was like, it's kind of a big deal to them. To the people at that shrine. I'm not generalizing Japanese or anything like that. But whoever, worships at that shrine takes that very seriously. And then, well, of course, then there's people, there was that. And then I think part of it, I'm asking myself, am I here just because, oh, giggle, giggle, they're wearing penises. And there's penis paraphernalia. I'm tempted to, I literally have like, it's like this visor with this big penis. I'm not going to put that on the video. I guess I could make like a video about it on my YouTube channel later, but no, I'm not going to do that. So that was also fun, ? But again, thousands and thousands of people. And there was like 2 different lines, like, oh, this line is for this place, and okay, is that where I need to go to get in the festival? Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, the person who was delineating the lines spoke English well, but I didn't understand. Like, oh, I just want to get in the festival and look around and see what's going on. So I mean, waiting in line for, I don't know, an hour, probably more, probably a couple hours. Yeah, hour and a half maybe. One thing I'll say for Japan, obviously, like I said earlier, for such a small country, they've got a lot of people in that country. And actually, I've seen stories that say like, oh, Japanese population is on the decline. Okay. But yeah, for a country with so many people, they are so efficient at getting people around, because God, I mean, if they weren't, I mean, they have to be, right? So many people in a small place. There were many times where, like, I was at Tokyo Tower, and like we're in this, velvet rope section waiting for the elevator to go down in the tower, or going up, I forget, it doesn't matter. But there are multiple like moments like that where a Japanese person would tell people to squeeze in, because I guess us bigger Americans and other, nationalities are just kind of like, I mean, I try to follow local customs. When I see people doing things a certain way, I do it that certain way. But other people, they're just kind of hanging out. And there was this very distinct little velvet rope area, and we were told to squeeze in, so you can fit everybody in this space. But again, efficiency. I feel like something else is gonna come to me about Japan, even after I said that I'm done talking about Japan. Okay, so this is the second time I'm going to say I'm done talking about Japan. We'll see if I get back to it. But okay, so since then, and not like since then because of the trip or anything, probably before too, I haven't been feeling great. Just like energy wise, I spoke about, I believe I spoke about on a previous episode, I spoke about my post-COVID syndrome, where I got COVID back in October of 2022. And it was kind of like persistent, like outbreaks of symptoms for like the better part of 2 years. And then I started seeing a naturopathic doctor, and she got me on these herbal supplements, which seemed to kind of help. And then she put me on, I'll say it, she put me on testosterone. She's got me on hormone therapy. Keeping in mind that I don't know what the numbers are exactly, but off the top of my head, I think like my testosterone numbers are normal or were normal when she first tested me. I want to say 800. I don't know if that's a number that's accurate. And then she said, "Oh, but we want you up at 1200." So like her whole spiel was, because this is a naturopathic doctor, it's mostly not covered by insurance. I submitted one of my bills, and they paid like, I don't know, like a third of it. But she said, like, you don't come to me to feel normal. You come to me to feel optimal. So that's what she's saying, like with the hormone therapy, is she's trying to get me optimal. But no, the whole point of that is that I do believe that it was helping with the post-COVID. I did 2 rounds of that, and it's expensive. It's like these pellets that they make an incision in a part of your body that I'm not going to mention, and they put these pellets in. And the second round, like my body was pushing out the pellets. So I don't know, like my body was rejecting the therapy. My point is that I think it was helping. I mean, I guess it's a thing the guys my age do just for energy and vitality as we get older. I'm 47 years old. I guess I'm a prime candidate, but it wasn't really about that. For me, it was about the post-COVID. And so I stopped. I think the last one I took in January was in January. I was due for another one in June. I told them that I just wanted to stop, wanted to take a break. And I was told, like, by my primary care that once you do, like, the hormone therapy, like, your body will have trouble adjusting if you stop. And I think that's what I'm feeling now. Like, I've, like, for the past, like, I don't know, month or so, I felt like just tired. And for me, it's hard to determine because there's always something. I shouldn't say always. In the past, there's often been something that it's either like insomnia or sleep apnea or something where I just don't feel great. I didn't feel great this morning, and I got up, I dragged my butt out of bed. I'm sitting here and I'm watching, YouTube. I've been planning to record this episode for a couple days now. I kind of got up and started doing it the other day. And then based on the time I was doing it, I was hungry. Okay, I told myself I'm going to do it after breakfast. Nope. Once I ate breakfast, I was out of it. But anyway, just yeah, the whole point of all of that is that I have not been feeling great. I'm starting to feel a little better this week, and I think it's just like my mentality. I mean, the other day when I started like setting up to record this podcast, I started to feel, excited. Oh, I want to do this thing. I'm excited. Let me set up the tripod. Let me set up the mic. And I think that's part of it. Like, I think I make excuses about, oh, I just feel terrible. I don't feel like doing anything. And, there's probably legitimate physical concerns that are like keeping me from feeling my best, feeling optimal. But it's not like I'm completely powerless to do anything about it. And that's where I'm at right now, where I'm asking myself, what can I do? Instead of just waking up and feeling like, oh, another crappy day where I don't feel great, and just sitting, not in this chair. I have a recliner that I put right here, and I'm watching YouTube, and just sitting here until, okay, I'm hungry. I eat breakfast, and then just sitting there like, okay, I got to go to work, and then coming back and just watching YouTube again, and just completing that cycle all over again. I've been more diligent, more responsible. I don't even know if responsible is the word. It's just something is clicked in my head where we can do this. I can take small steps to make myself feel, to help. I don't want to say help myself feel better, because I deserve to feel the best I can. And so that's what I'm working on right now. I mean, I lost a bunch of weight a couple years ago. I gained it all back and then some, and now my weight is on the decline. And so just I guess this is where I think I'm gonna end here. I've been blabbing for a long time now, but this is why I do this, because I mean it's helpful for me. If someone else gets something out of it, great, that's awesome. But ultimately, I'm doing this for me. I guess I'm gonna give a teaser. I'm gonna give a teaser for the next episode. Jeez, look at me with the cliffhanger. It's not really a cliffhanger, I guess. But I mean, I've spoken about on this podcast about my mental health diagnosis, bipolar depression, early onset dysthymia. And through that work, it seems to, like, I keep being told. Actually, I'm not told, but my therapist always kind of leads me in a direction where, oh, is this what it is? And I guess it always leads back to my father. It always leads back to abandonment issues. It always leads back to personalizing things as a child. And so we did what is called inner family therapy, where basically, we all have an inner father, inner mother, inner child, inner, I don't know, sisters, brothers, cousins, maybe. I'm not sure about that one. But I seem to have had like a bit of a breakthrough on that. And again, like, physically, sleep-wise, I still don't feel great, but I know something up here. I'm pointing at my head for those not watching. Something up here has clicked, and something is different ever since my recent inner family therapy session. And then the last thing, and this happened a while ago, and I wanted to record about it, but I didn't. But I'm just going to say I found my father. I'll add, I'm not going to leave it like that. I'll add that he's long since passed. He's long since passed. But that is something that when that happened, I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to record an episode, and I didn't. And this Japan stuff is like more recent and fresher in my memory. However, that is going to be the subject of the next episode. And there's all this like crazy all this crazy talk in my head where like I'm not going to do it, or you're just going to give up, you're just going to fail, all that negative self-talk that I really need to just ignore. Not even ignore, just observe and not identify with it, because it's in there. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for now. Thank you for joining me. If you're still here, appreciate you. If you enjoyed watching, and see, this is where the kind of the template outro comes into play. If you enjoyed watching and or listening and want to support the show, you can do so by following the Lathan Minich Show on Apple, Spotify, and on most of the top podcasts. I'm not cutting that. Top podcast platforms out there. I got stuck between podcast and platform. I said podcast. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@LathanMinich. As I said before, not very active on social. Maybe I will be soon. But anyway, it's @Lathan Minich on Instagram and Twitter, currently known as X, and Facebook.com/Lathan Minich. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great day. Bye-bye.